Record-ology.
So I just bought this. It says made in England. It is a 4-speed unit, fully automatic, and I need to clean it off. I also got a couple CDs. So yeah, I was really surprised to see this on the shelf. So let's get it cleaned up, get it inside, and take a look at it. Most of the time when in making this show, I save the action, the discovery for the show itself. I did break with tradition a little bit in this case, and I went and did some work on it this afternoon. I cleaned it up, disinfected it, and experimented with it so that I could talk you through its functionality with some level of expertise for a change, and also tell you, if it needs anything or if it doesn't. So without further ado, here we go. This is the Glenburn record changer, and it is a fully automatic record changer. It is 4 speeds, so it'll play all the way down to 16 RPM and all the way up to 78. This thing is built like a tank. There was a wonderful video done by Technology Connections where he went through and did a bunch of stuff with it, and I thought that was really fascinating, including looking inside. And basically, if you remember our video on the dual turntable we did a year or two ago, it's kind of like that. It's a metallic wonder. It's a electromechanical beast. It's built like a clock on the inside. Now, a lot of you may be looking at the front of this and at the top of this and saying, is that a BSR? Kind of yes and kind of no. Around 1970, Dr. Daniel McDonald of BSR, also known as Birmingham Sound Reproducers, BSR, famous BSR changers. He actually was kind of booted out of his own company in 1970. Allegedly, he was too old and wasn't fitting in, and they want to do some new things. So he's like, you know what? Fine. I'm going to take some of my best engineers. We're going to start our own company called Glenburn, and we're going to pretty much make another BSR changer. This particular unit has a metal plinth akin to the dual we looked at again some time ago. So, it does have, and we'll talk more about the materials and stuff in a minute, but whereas the BSRs are largely plastic, in my experience, this one has a touch of, higher end manufacturing. So these are, pretty well regarded. In fact, this Glenburn is the exact same unit that was in the Technology Connection video. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Now let me zoom in a little bit here. We're in sort of cramped quarters, but a precision manufactured product of England, which I think is so cool. I think that looks awesome. And we've got a full size or nearly full size plastic player. Oh, by the way, he was actually, came back into the company in 1975-ish. And at that point, there was a couple of Glenburn models available. Probably this is one of the later ones. So, he came back into BSR at some point, and, the rest is history. But this unit is quite interesting. So let's take a look again at what we got. So it's a very plasticky case. And this metal plinth is shock mounted. I have some more cleaning to do and dusting under there. You can see I dusted up as far as I could see. So I need to do some deep cleaning on this under the platter as well. And there's nothing on the back except for permanently affixed RCA cable, this gray one, and then the green grounding cable. It looks like that's aftermarket or perhaps a replacement. So it is a magnetic cartridge. I'll show you that in a minute. And it requires a preamp. And there's nothing else on the box. I mean, there's nothing on the bottom. There's no labels or model numbers. It's since worn off of this particular one. It just has the 70s, and I would say again obviously 70 to 75-ish. I would date this at. So we got the very 70s wood pattern on the front of it, and the black plastic case and the metal plinth. Now let's look at a couple individual components. Down here we've got the speed select. So this is interesting. If you're in 16 RPM mode, it is the record actually hangs over that a little bit. So you kind of need to set your speed before you put it on, ideally. But you can play 78s, 45s, 33s, 16 RPM as well. And the platter, while we're in this neck of the woods, is plastic with these adhesive metal stickers, essentially, is what those are. It's literally just a plastic platter. We do have the full size changer spindle on there, which can be removed, and you can replace it with a single one so that you can just use it as a single disc automatic player. But what's the fun in that? We're going to use it as an automatic changer. Okay, so there's a lot going on over here. By the way, everything looks dustier when you got bright lights on. The light's off, it actually looks pretty clean. The light's on, I can see that I got more work to do. So we've got a queuing lever back here, and below that, a lever to select the size of the disc. This will work with 7-inch and 12-inch, but also 10-inch, which is really cool. So if you remember the LP3, we have to manually operate it because of that size. However, this one can automatically deal with the 10-inch disc. And then back here, we've got the counterbalance mechanism. It's permanently set. I don't think you can adjust the counterbalance. If you can, it would have to be with tensioning screws. There's no like adjustable counterweight. And then we've got the arm, the stabilization arm right here, which I'll show you in a minute. On the lower right hand side, we have the start and stop and automatic switch mechanism, and that's literally it, guys. That's the only control that there is. Okay, this is the N44 Shure cartridge. This is my first Shure cartridge. They don't make cartridges anymore, so everything's going to be new old stock. However, I did order and will be receiving, in a couple of days here, a replacement stylus. This is shipped with an elliptical. I think this has been upgraded to the C variant, but it's pretty simple to drop it. My thumb is huge. I hate that. Man, I've got dry skin. But anyway, here is the stylus. It literally slides on and off. It's very, very simple. And this is just, we'll listen to it in a minute. You'll see what I mean, but the stylus is blunted. So what record, boy, that's even dusty. I need to really do like some Q-tip cleaning on this thing. Literally putting the new stylus in is going to be easy as that. So what record would I use on a sketchy stylus? Why, Judy Collins, of course. This is the one that we destroyed. You can see like these damage marks. Oh yeah, that's the rock blocks damage. You can see. So yeah, I don't mind giving this a hard time. So being an automatic turntable, you can stack records right on the top there. And the reason why we've got this stabilizer is to stabilize our record, which is kind of precarious on there until you do that. And that holds it kind of firm. And there's a latch system, better illustrated in that video by Technology Connections about how this works. But essentially it drops one record at a time and plays it. And I've got it hooked up, and I'll give you a listen. And you'll hear it just sounds distorted. I mean, the stylus is just blunted. It needs replacing. So to play this, we're going to go into start mode. And once we're in start mode, we're going to continue over to automatic mode, and that will start the chain of events. And that will start the chain of events. Starting with the record dropping. Okay, starting with the stylus going down where there is no record. Let's go ahead and cycle back. And to play a record, we go to start, and that starts the platter spinning. And then we go to auto, which should release the disc and then play the record, as you can see here. So it's a distortion. That's a typical bad needle. And you can manually cue it, so we can lift up this guy right here. I noticed, oh geez. Okay, there you go. If you're not manually cueing it, if you are manually cueing it, you have to very gently go down because this thing has a tendency to fall like a rock. When it's in automatic mode, it descends very gently, but it doesn't like to do it when it's in manual mode like this. So what happens if we hit stop? So we hit stop, and it just slows down and nothing happens again. So how do we get it to go back home? Do we hit auto again? Let's try that. So I hit the auto button again. It goes back home, drops into the rest, and then it stops itself. So the auto switch is a dynamic position. So depending on where, and by the way, it takes a while to slow down. This is an idler drive, by the way. So there's a little rubber wheel under the platter that's spinning it. And it's got good mass inertia, which is why it's taking so long to slow down right now. But this switch right here does it all. So it starts the automatic mechanism, it stops the automatic mechanism, etc., etc. So if I want to start it again, I simply go to start and select auto. I was having issues doing this from the position where the record's already dropped, so let's see if it works this time. Yeah, when the record's already down, it thinks it needs to drop another one. Although this guy being in the down position should tell it that there's no more records on the spindle and that it can go ahead and play. So I may be doing this wrong. This may just be a user error thing. So let me just go into the start position and see what happens now. The more I see this thing, I really realize that I need to do some cleaning. So yeah, if I go to automatic, it just lifts up and then goes back down. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. I don't think that's it seems like this thing's in really good condition, except for that need for the new stylus. It looks like everything else is really, really good. So I got some, familiarizing myself with it to do. But that's really it, you guys. That is my new Glenburn automatic changer. I've actually encountered a bit of an issue with my LP3. So and I mentioned this to one or two people in the comments. So remember I was saying that it was too fast, so I went to make some changes. There's very clearly labeled pots underneath that allow you to trim pot the motor speed, the high and low position, which is 33 and 45. And when I got down there to make the adjustments, it wasn't responding. It was going like 900 miles an hour or 0. It didn't have any variable in there. So I was a bit disappointed in that. Told Audio Technica they're gonna have a look at it and see what they think. So I don't know what the future of that. So I may have a gaping hole on my desk that this might fit the need of that automatic turntable mechanism if I can get it working properly. Again, Friday I should receive the new stylus, and we'll take another look at it at that point. But this is sort of a first glance at my very first automatic turntable. And yeah, a lot of you guys have talked about BSR type changers before. They don't have the best reputation. One thing that Technology Connections mentioned as well is that once the needle drops, there's nothing impeding the movement and stability of the platter. A lot of people feel that automatic changers add complexity that may impede the quality of the sound, such as the vertical tracking angle, depending on how many records are stacked on there and whatnot. But again, he tested it and showed that it really didn't do that. It didn't really impede the sound whatsoever. So anyway, just getting started with this, but it's going to be a fun journey. I'm excited to have an automatic changer. And let me know if you guys have had these. I'm sure you have. I mean, this is the record player, essentially, that I remember my grandpa had in his big console. One of those lift the lid type of consoles with a 8-track radio, cassette player, and then automatic changer like this in there. So I remember having no clue what this was for and what possibly it could do. I had no idea as a child. So it was only much later in life that I figured that out. I also thought we would take a look at the speed. So looking right there at 33, we are moving a little fast. Same thing with 45, the next ring up, and the most inner ring, the 78 RPM ring, also a little fast. So I'm not 100% sure how to adjust speed on an idler drive turntable, so any tips in that regard would be appreciated. Okay, I couldn't stand it. I had to open this thing up. Would you look at how clean this is? And by the way, now we know exactly what model we have right here. Do we? Really cool. Just look, everything is as clean as a whistle. I mean, truly, look at the cables. And by the way, this one is loose. I mean, they're just literally cables. I can upgrade this cable so easily. How genius is that? Look at that little indent so this is definitely not original cable. I opened this up because I want to see about adjusting the speed. It should be pretty easy to do. Looks like the motor and all the linkage and everything looks good. The grease is still moist. I hate that word too. But I'm looking for how to change speeds. There's the idler wheel, and I did stick my finger in there, and it is nice and soft. Will you look at how immaculate this is? It just blows my mind. I mean, this thing is 50 years old, and it looks like it just came off the assembly line. Truly, truly clean. I really think that this was well maintained. I don't think that tape is original. Clearly these cables aren't original because they're wired outside of that opening. But which is, I'm glad because it's the grease is still, greasy. There's the ground wire. It comes directly out of there. Truly, truly immaculate. It's a beautiful unit. Anyway, that's going to do it for now, guys. Happy record hunting. We will see you tomorrow.